The next natural resource that is being rampantly destroyed in the hands of human beings is the soil, okay, because we are dealing with the natural resources, and in natural resources we are talking about those which are at behest of total wipeout due to human beings. We are going to talk about soil. Now what you see over here is that soil is a reservoir of minerals, and if you have read the nutrition chapter, it all depends on minerals and nutrients that we have to take, okay. We talk about micronutrients, we talk about macronutrients, we say that our body is some part of soil itself. The soil minerals that are taken up from the soil, our body is made up of that. Exactly, this is what is being quoted in many of the texts, and many of your readings till now you must have read it. Now this soil is reservoir of minerals. We know that topsoil has taken millions of years in its formation. How the formation takes place, there are many contributing factors which are responsible for formation of soil. So we are dealing with soil. Soil is formed due to activity of sun. First of all, sun heats up the bedrock material, then at the night it cools down, it leads to expansion, contraction, expansion, contraction, due to which there is weathering that takes place. So basically we are dealing with the process of weathering that gives rise to the layer of topsoil. And you can make it out that how important this top layers of soil is, because it has taken millions of years for the rock to degrade and disintegrate by the process of weathering into the soil, which is rich in minerals and nutrients which we consume in the form of food material. Somehow it is the food material which is giving us the minerals which are extracted from the soil. One is sun, the second one is water. Running water is often responsible for weathering of the rocks, and you must have seen the silts and soil around, at the banks of the rivers, which is being brought about by the flowing water over millions of years again. And third one is biological factors. There are biological factors like mosses and some root of a tree would be responsible for cracking of the soil, cracking of the bedrock material. Mosses are responsible for softening of the soil. If you have observed it ever, that after the season of monsoon, the places become very damp and cushioned. That is the process of weathering itself that is being brought about by biological factors. So there are various factors which are responsible for weathering, and as a result of this process of weathering, we have the top layer of soil. Now what happens when this soil is not taken care of as it should be, and because this soil is the source of agriculture, finally all the agriculture has to be done in the soil only, and agriculture meets our requirements of food, and you know that most of the people die of hunger in the present world. So what is being done is that the soil is being used rampantly for agriculture practices. Need not to say we need to have soil for such practices, and we cannot depend on any other source for it, but because we have been doing it in totally uncontrolled way, and that is not properly entropic way has been taken in the agriculture practices, and more of greed has been put into agriculture. Because of that, lot of soil pollution has taken place. Apart from our own activities, there are various natural activities also which are responsible for a condition where the top layer of the soil gets deteriorated or washed, and that condition is known as soil erosion. Now because you are students of standard 9th, you know what this soil erosion is, because this term is introduced to students in quite younger age. Now we are going to talk about how the soil erosion would take place, but before that you need to know that how soil is formed, what are the contributing factors of topsoil formation, living organism which would be biological factors, the climate which is regulated by the sun itself, the time, how much time it has taken, okay, for the topsoil layer to be formed, the parent material, bedrock material from which the soil is being made, and the topography. If the soil is black soil, if it is alluvial soil, then that again is part of geography only. Now moving further, let's talk about the soil pollution. If we are talking about soil pollution, we have to deal with the concept where the nutrient content of the soil is declining, or there is unwanted addition of some poison or chemical which is not otherwise required in the soil. So that is soil pollution, and there is another term known as soil erosion, when the top layer is getting eradicated or it is getting washed away. Both of them are different. Please keep in mind that soil pollution is a different concept altogether and soil erosion is a different concept altogether. In the case of soil pollution, human activities are the primary cause. In the case of soil erosion, human activities are secondary cause, because the soil erosion can take place, entire sheet of the topsoil has to be eroded. For that, human activity is a very small activity. For that, it should be a natural force, and that need to be very much stronger as compared to any mundane human activity which could result in pollution only, not erosion completely. Yeah, we can be contributing factors, but not to that extent as much as natural resources can be. We'll come to this, but before that, have a look at this, that what causes soil pollution? Agricultural use of chemicals and fertilizers and pesticides beyond a point, okay, so that soil is not able to replenish its resources, that is soil pollution. It can kill organisms and decomposers such as earthworm, which are very important in the soil, that help replenish healthy soil. At the same time, whatever is being added into the soil, it goes down, it leaches down into the underground water. So soil pollution is also giving rise to water pollution, as you can see. Then we have landfills, septic system, nuclear and industrial waste. Pay attention, the nuclear and industrial waste is highly poisonous, and even if it is buried deep down 100 meters into the soil, it still has the capability of causing poisonous ramifications, I would say, causing many diseases manifestations that are genetic even after many years of its disposal into the soil. So you can make it out that these buried chemicals and toxins, they dissolve into the soil and water and cause its pollution. Now this is pollution because the original composition has been altered, and the alteration in the composition is causing problem to the living beings. So we have soil pollution. Coming to soil erosion, the factors which were responsible for the formation of soil can at times be responsible for its erosion as well, as in the case of water. Now flowing water can also cause soil erosion. If there is a flash flood, the entire top layer of the soil gets eroded, and water itself becomes the causative agent of soil erosion. At the same time, it is the formative agent as well, but it can become the agent of soil erosion as well. So we have water, running water. Okay, the second one is wind. At times the wind flows at very fast rate and the entire top layer of the soil is gone. Then we have the human activity of deforestation. Now this deforestation has an important role to play in soil erosion, because you know, when we have some plant planted into the soil, it has its roots inside the soil, and those roots, they hold the soil particles together. So it is not easy for the wind to take away that soil, it is not easy for water to take away that soil. Supposedly you are holding you're having a pot in your hand, you just tilt that pot and you put sand in it, okay. Now pour some water over it, or just blow some wind over it, you will see that the sand, which is not having any vegetation on it, the maximum of the soil would flow. Okay, the sand rather, it would flow according to the natural condition that you have provided. Either it could be the flowing water or it could be the wind that you are blowing. Okay, in the other case, take a potted plant. Okay, potted plant in which you are having 2-3 plants, or you can just simply take grasses. You would see that whatever amount of water you are throwing, the amount of soil that gets carried away by that water is bare minimum as compared to that in the case of the soil. This is a very basic activity that you must have done in your childhood as well. So what I am trying to tell you is that these are the factors which are responsible for soil erosion, and we need to take care of this factor because this is in our hands. Okay, deforestation leads to the denudation of soil top layer, and when that denudation takes place, it is easier for these two agencies to take away the topsoil. So this is all about soil. With this, we are done with the natural resources. I hope I have made you aware of their importance, and little bit empathy must have been generated inside you for the natural resources, because ultimately whatever we are made up of these resources only. It is these resources which have given us our entire body form. If we do not have fresh air, if we do not consume the air, we wouldn't have grown this much. If there was no water, as I told you, there won't be cells that would be working, and if there was no soil, there won't be any minerals that would be forming the cells itself. So you can make out that these three natural resources are part and parcel of your body. So you need to take care of them so that your body is healthy, and inside a healthy body resides a healthy mind, and from that healthy mind you have to remember these things. Thank you.